Yeah. And I do have the closed caption on, so good. You want to wait a few minutes, Sharon, or are you ready?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Well, it's being recorded, so why don't you go ahead?
Okay, were you going to do an introduction or shall I introduce myself? How do you want to do that?
Why don't you introduce yourself? How about that?
Okay, so
And
my
I'm going to
name
put everybody else on mute. So hold on. Where is that? No, I knew how to do it last time. How do I put everybody on mute? Oh, darn it, darn it, darn it. Well, go ahead. I'll manage somehow. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll just do it individually.
It's probably where you mute yourself on the bottom of the computer on the bottom left.
Something like
There
that.
should be a list there by the caret.
Okay, thank you. I found it.
Yay. So my name is Sharon, and I have been involved in what they are now starting to call the sight loss world for the last 50 years. My babysitter was totally blind, and I received my first degree in orientation and mobility, teaching people with vision problems to travel safely back in 1984. And when the field of low vision became a professional field, I went for my master's and my certification and graduated in 2004 from Penn College of Optometry. So this has been, outside of my family, probably my biggest motivating factor for the better part of my life. And I really enjoy it. One of the things that does frustrate me the most is that people don't know what they don't know until they come to us. And so one of the things that I've done over the time with COVID is joined a couple of the support groups and been able to provide information to people, both specific questions that people have about their own vision, and then more generally, where to find resources in their own area. When I talk to community groups in general, I usually start with a riddle. And the riddle is this: how does somebody who's totally blind or legally blind take a bottle of oil and measure out 2 tablespoons for the cake mix that they want to make? And that's a very, very difficult thing, as I see from the expressions on people's faces. It's really, really difficult. The bottle of oil is clear. The oil itself is clear. And you're putting it into this little tiny tablespoon and trying to get 2 tablespoons. And it doesn't work real well. But there's an easy, very easy answer if you know how to think about the program. And in order to get to that, we're going to go to a very, very old riddle that most of you have probably heard at some point in your life. A little boy is walking to school. He walks over a bridge. He looks down and he sees that there's an 18-wheeler stuck under this old bridge. It's just stuck. It won't go forward. It won't go back. It won't go anywhere. It is stuck. Now here comes the owner of the truck. "What did you do to my truck?" he says to the driver. And here comes the historical society member and he says, "What did you do to my bridge?" And the driver is standing there holding his head, and the truck won't go forward and it won't go back. And the little boy looks down and he says to them, waiting to think, what could he say to them? How did this little boy know what to do? Some of you would get that answer's coming. I see the expressions changing, right? Let some air out of the tires. So the problem is at the top. The problem is where we get stuck. The answer is someplace else altogether. So what we have to do is we have to look at where can we let the air out of the tires? Where can we make that space? Where can we make that change that will get us where we want to go? Because we can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect to get any different answers. And so what we want to do is we want to look at the problem differently. So now, if I tell you that one of the 6 or 7 ways that I've heard for people to get their toothpaste onto the toothbrush is to cut open the toothpaste tube, put it in a small container and just dip their toothbrush into the open tube of toothpaste. Now, how do I get the same result with that bottle of oil and a tablespoon? I pour some oil into a cottage cheese container or a butter container or whatever I have with a lid. And when I need it, I scoop out 2 tablespoons of oil. 1, 2, done. How easy was that, right? But the problem with the oil and the tablespoon, the answer was in the plastic container. It wasn't where we were stuck. It was down at the tires. It was someplace else, right? And so if we always think, okay, what I want to do is possible. I can move this truck. I can thread this needle. I can get this toothpaste into my mouth without making a mess. If you think from there, I can do this. The question is now, how do I do it? Where is the answer that I'm looking for? So the whole idea of blind rehabilitation, whether you have low vision or no vision or some vision, it doesn't matter whether it's tunnel vision or blurry vision. What do we do? What do we do, right? We look for the creative solutions. And we go with the assumption that there's probably, unless it's driving a car, because self-driving cars haven't come out yet, right? Unless it's driving a car, probably some blind person somewhere has figured this out. They're doing it. And you're just as smart as they are. A lot of the ideas that I have, I steal from my clients, which is one of the reasons that my good friend Tiffany is here presenting, because Tiffany has very limited vision and she lives by herself. She bought her own house. She's got her own activities. She's doing her own thing. And I love stealing her ideas because she comes up with a lot of good stuff. So I've asked her to join us as well today. The name of the program, as you might have seen, is Bigger, Brighter, and Bolder. So if we're working with just low vision, right, just low vision, if vision isn't a problem enough to lose your car and your job and sometimes your house and your spouse and everything else, right? But if it's just low vision, then by making things bigger, using magnification, bolder, maybe using a marker instead of a pen, and brighter, using the right lighting, not too much lighting, but also making it bright enough to give us that contrast, we are going to do a lot better. And outdoors, we want to use sunglasses, right, that are going to give those. So one of the things that you'll hear me say over and over and over again on the list or any place else you hear me speak is that the first step in finding those answers is to see a low vision therapist. So people say, why do I need one more doctor, right? Why do I need one more doctor? Your doctors are looking at maintaining your eye health. So if you have a retina specialist, if you have edema, you have macular degeneration, if you have diabetes, whatever, your doctor's looking in and he's saying, what can I fix inside of the eye? But when you get up at night and can't find your way to the bathroom, where's your doctor? Right? He can't fix that. But your orientation and mobility instructor can find half a dozen different ways for you to get safely from your bed into your bathroom. It might be adding a nightlight. It might be, if you're one of those people that's really a sound sleeper, when you get up, you might have one of those like clear plastic runners, right? That'll go on your carpet right across. And if you stay on the runner, and a lot of people who use walkers like to do that because the wheels don't make a mess and it keeps them in the right place. The minute their wheels get stuck in the carpet, they know that they're off track. Traveling outdoors. How do you travel outdoors? Do you use a support cane, which is the cane kind of we all think about, the one that we lean on for balance, for support? Is it a long white cane, which instead of going up and sticking our faces up to the shelves and trying to find things and bending over and kind of getting into awkward positions and bumping into people, we get the white cane out and somebody might turn around, you might bump into them with the cane, but not your whole body. You're not going to knock them over. You bump into them with the cane and they might turn around that they got bumped into. Oh my goodness, why did you? And then they usually end up apologizing. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, let me get out of your way, right? Because people recognize that you're not doing it out of malice. When you bump into people when you trip on things, when you can't find things and you're asking, hey, where's the, butter? And it's right in front of you, because that's the problem with macular degeneration, right? Is that you can't see what's right in front of you. People think, what are you on drugs? Getting forgetful? What's going on? It's a matter of you literally can't see it. But when you're walking with a white cane, then you're able to see what is, then people are able to see exactly what your problem is. They may make determinations about your cane, whether or not you think it's a good idea or not, to travel with it. And that's my job as a teacher, is to help people to see the advantages of keeping safe. So a lot of people keep bending further and further and further over to see their feet, and 20 pounds ahead is now leading you. So you are much more likely to fall. We don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen at all. So what do? We try to make things as visible as possible, bigger, bolder, and brighter. When we're outside in the sun, we can't change the sun. You can't take the sun away, right? But you can wear a hat. You can choose a pair of sunglasses that's going to work for you. When people ask about the colors of sunglasses, all right, there are dozens of different colors, and I'm holding up just a couple of them so you guys can see the yellows, the blues, the greens, the reds, bright oranges, all right? There's all different kinds of color because everybody's eyes are different, whether or not you've had cataracts, whether you have just macular degeneration, whether you have glaucoma or diabetes on top of that. So how you see, going back to the original question, how you see is what low vision therapists are worried about. How do you see and how do you function? How do you make the transition from being able to do everything visually, easily, to either adapting the low vision with low vision devices or doing it tactily, changing the technology, changing the technique, or doing it auditorily. So a lot of people I know probably in this group already have talking books. Hopefully all of you are signed up with the Talking Book Library, which is part of the Library of Congress. You've been paying taxes all these years. You might as well take advantage of it. You have, most libraries now have recorded books that you can take out, quote unquote, on your iPad or on your computer. You can download them to your iPhone and take them with you. So when you're sitting in the doctor's office waiting, everybody else would pick up a magazine. You can pick up your phone, pick up your iPad, and be reading whatever it is interest to you, whether it's histories or mysteries, it doesn't matter. You're going to have access to all that information as well as magazines and audio described movies and things like that. So the libraries, whether it's the National Library NLS service from the Library of Congress, which each state has its own subsidiary, so to speak, and they share amongst each other, or whether it is your local library system, or even better, both. Then you can get into, if you want, like Audible or Bookshare or anything like that, you can get into these other subscriptions. But start with the libraries. You've been paying the taxes to get those services all these years. You can take advantage of them now. So we're talking about bigger, brighter, and bolder. A lot of people lose the immediate ability to do things like their hobbies. So when I go back to teaching something like knitting, I'm holding up 2 knitting needles, all right, bigger than my hands. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically relearn those skills, and we're going to put something, if I'm using a white colored pair of needles, I'm going to take a very dark colored thread and make it stand out. I'm going to make sure that whatever's on my lap that I'm working over is a contrasting color. So if you start with that and start with some easy stuff over again, it's not really that hard to pick up your knitting or your crocheting again. Now, how do you count rows? People say, how, Sharon, it's easy enough just to make a scarf, but what if I want to count rows? What if I want to shape things? So again, we think outside the box. Well, counting can be a little challenging. How about if I took a small safety pin and every 5 rows, I put a small safety pin. On the 10th row, I put a big safety pin. So if I have to go 50 rows, then I would have 5, then a big one, then move that one to 15, and then a big one. Now I'm up to 20, right? So I'm going to add every 10th, I'm going to add one. I'm going to add a large safety pin. Does it mean everybody has to go back to knitting? No. What I want you to do is, again, think of this like the truck. These are different ways of thinking. Now, some people will wear a head-borne unit. They will take a magnifier that they can wear on their head, whether it's optical, meaning some sort of glasses or telescopes, or whether it's electronic, and they can wear that in front of their face in order to make things bigger, and they may go back to their old whatever hobby, knitting or whatever it might be, by using electronic or telescopic devices. So you'll hear me say a lot. Let's start with the basic stuff. You have techniques and you have technology. In the for-profit world, their idea is that they want to sell stuff. And I'm sitting in a for-profit center right now. That's the Low Vision shop. I mentioned that because I do work with a lot of new things. But before anybody comes here, and these are friends of mine that own this shop, before anybody comes here, have you gone to Wilmer, which is here in Baltimore? Have you gone to Hoover? Have you gone to one of the prevention of blindness clinics if you're down near Washington, D.C.? The question is, have you seen a doctor who might be able to prescribe for you something that you will not need all these highfalutin devices for? Okay. On the other hand, if you have a 4X handheld magnifier and it breaks, or you want another one to take on vacation, you go to the shop, you pick it up, you try it out, make sure it still works, and you're on your way. So there's advantages to both, but I try to encourage people to try to work with somebody in the nonprofit sector that knows the techniques and the teaching before you start going to spend a lot of money on different kinds of devices, which are what the individual shop owner chooses to carry. The nonprofits and the hospital affiliated low vision centers usually will have everybody's stuff. Anything of quality, they usually try to carry that so that they can show you side by side. Look, this is what this one does, and this is what this one does. But if you're going for a for-profit, you're going for the companies that they're selling for usually. And so if you can go to a low vision center where the doctor is concerned with how you function first, then you're going to get what you need from them, and be contributing to the next person who comes as well, since it's a nonprofit. Just one of the examples, again, going back to really, really easy stuff. This is called a push-pull. It's nothing more than a ruler with 2 cutouts. So any of you guys or ladies that are good with woodworking, you can make your own. I mean, it only costs, I think, $1.25 or something. The idea is the biggest set of burns that people with vision loss have or get tend to be from the upper inside of the oven, and they tend to burn the inside of your arm. I don't know how many of you have done that. You've reached into the oven to pull out a pan or something and burned your upper arms. And that's a really dangerous thing. Most ovens today, when you pull that top shelf out, it will only go halfway. And so by using a push-pull, you pull the tray with this. Your arm is back 12 inches away from the hot oven. You pull that shelf halfway out, check your meal, take it out, put it on, baste it, whatever, put it back in. And then with a little hook at the end, you push the shelf back in. And that keeps your arms away from the top part of the oven that you can't see. Sighted people can't see it. It's tucked under the edge of the oven, and it comes down and holds the heating units in. So, I mean, there you go. You saved a trip to the hospital, for $1 piece of wood. So it's really, really important. When it comes to magnification, there's magnification that you wear. There's magnification that you hold. There's handheld magnifiers. There's what we call stand magnifiers. There's wearables of all different kinds. So I'm sure those of you who have already been to a low vision clinic have seen things like that, right? The idea is magnification is how you make things bigger. So there's two main things that we can do. One is what we call distance magnification. Distance magnification means that if you sit 3 feet from your television, it will look twice as big as when it's 6 feet away. And that's really important because you can move your chair up, you can move your TV up, and you don't spend any money and you just made it twice as big. So people have asked about like TV glasses. TV glasses magnify just over 2 times. Now, if you're already sitting close and you want to make it bigger, or you want to sit back with the rest of your family, that's a great thing. The other thing is move your chair closer. It doesn't cost you anything, right? So again, it's a combination of the techniques and the technology, whatever works best for you in that situation. Now, magnifiers, if you've ever taken a magnifier, you will notice it is nothing more than a lens, which is very much just like your eyeglasses, all right? If you put the glass up here, as if you were reading, and try to focus, you will see that there is what's called a focal distance. That is the distance between the lens and the whatever you're reading. This does not change. You can't change how much distance there is between you and the paper. What you can change is how much distance there is between your eye and the magnifier that you're using. So you can hold it way up here. You can actually mount it. There are actually 5X, reading glasses. They're very strong, and you have to hold the paper right at the tip of your nose, and a lot of people are not comfortable with that. But if you put the lens into a handheld or a stand magnifier, the distance stays the same. The magnification stays the same, but you can move it out to where it's comfortable for you to be able to read. Okay? So I hope that that makes sense to people. Stand magnifiers work the same way. And then again, you can't change the distance between the lens and what you're reading. So a stand magnifier will just sit on the material with the legs being the correct distance for your focal distance. Now, if you're very nearsighted or very farsighted, you may find that you're putting on your glasses, your reading glasses, along with your magnification in order for you to focus on what you're getting into your eyes. I wanted to show you, for those who might have a little more experience with traveling, this is a support cane. It's a folding support cane, and it's white for those people who have vision problems and can get around still safely, but need the support of a cane so that they don't fall from balance issues. If you're traveling with a long cane, you have a lot of choices. They come in aluminum, they come in graphite, they come in different heights, different weights. Some of them fold and some of them don't. So you can get a free cane from NFB, that's the National Federation of the Blind. All right, that doesn't fold, it's one piece. And you can use a very lightweight cane like this if you're in the store and you don't really need that much help. You can see that this one is a lot thinner than a regular cane that we're using from aluminum or graphite. All right, it's less than half. So the weight is also considerably less. So for some people that's a concern, but the thing is, I wouldn't tell anybody to use this outdoors for the simple reason is that once you've banged it against a couple of stone pillars or fire hydrants or something, it's not going to last that long. So you're going to end up buying a lot more. But the lightweight is nice if you do a lot of traveling in a park and you're just looking for branches or whatever. You want to be able to keep your head up, your shoulders back, be aware of your surroundings and people around you. And then the other thing I was going to say is just common sense safety. These are not specifically for blind people, all right? But they're called ice traction slip-ons. And basically you can put them on the bottom of your boots because it's winter. Put these on the bottom of your shoes or the bottom of your boots, right? Without having to have heavy boots on. Kind of like the old-fashioned rubbers, but it's really only the pieces where the spikes are. And that allows you to stretch and grip onto, with these little studs, grip onto the snow a little bit better, just have a little bit better balance and be a little bit safer. So, Ms. Tiffany, are there things that you'd like to add at the beginning or should we answer questions?
No, I don't think there's anything I need to add. I think we can take questions and then we I'll go from there.
So Tiffany is our resident homemaking and computer whiz expert. So if we have questions regarding to that, I am going to ask Tiffany to answer for us. Do we have questions? Are there things that people want to know about low vision appointments, low vision devices? Ask away. So Linda's got control. Sharon, hold on a second. There we go.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Now, yep.
We seem to get a lot of questions in the group in regards to televisions in particular. What is the best TV I should buy? What is the best laptop I should buy? Those questions come quite a bit, and we don't necessarily give the answers because we don't want to tell people what product they should be buying or not buying. But Linda has put together a guide that has tries to address many of those questions. But since you're here, I'm sure that's one of the questions that you get a lot. People want to know, all right, I need to go out and get a new TV or a new laptop. What should I focus on because I have restrictions with my vision?
So I don't ever tell anybody, like what TV to buy or anything like that. Again, when you go to see a low vision therapist, you're going to be telling them what your problem is. Is your problem in seeing color? Is your problem seeing the picture? Is your problem that it just everything seems blurry, right? So your low vision therapist is going to ask you, and ask themselves, can we make your vision any better? Can we use a magnifying device? Is a telescope something that's going to be appropriate for you? Or are you better just practical stuff like moving closer, putting your TV or your monitor on an arm. And I'm going to go dead in a second, so I'm going to plug in. So I'm not really into like any one specific TV or kind of TV or computer or kind of computer, because everybody's vision is different. And so as a professional, I wouldn't say to everybody, go out and buy this or that. As a matter of fact, what I usually tell people is start to learn the talking programs now. More and more of your TV programs and your movies and your museums and your national parks, they all have audio description so that you can actually hear a description, almost like a play, right? If somebody picks up a playbook, they're going to be reading a script that says the woman in the blue dress, walk down the long hallway with pictures on the walls. So, okay, I'm a Downton Abbey fan, can you tell? So the other, nice thing is if there's scary music in a movie and you have no idea what's going on, the audio description will tell you the thief crept up to the back door. Now you know. Everybody's laughing. What happened? Well, audio description will tell you Mo hit Larry over the head with a frying pan. They were always doing stuff like that. So, but why are people laughing? You don't necessarily know if you don't know what's on the screen. And so by using talking technology with the computer, which can read to you, and with the television, you're going to make your life a lot easier, in addition to whatever picture you're getting, whatever telescopes or telescopic aids you decide to use that will work for you. And again, your doctor will work with you on whether you need like a 2x or 3x magnifier, which is a pretty good field of vision. You can use a bigger screen, or do you need to magnify it inside, or do you need an electronic device that you're actually wearing on your face and have a little screen right there in front of your eyes, just a few inches away?
Well, I would imagine that most computers or iPads or televisions nowadays probably have all the necessary items that will help increase the font and such like that. It seems to me that's pretty standard nowadays.
So every computer nowadays is built with something built in. You might have Microsoft, you might have Narrator, some of the other talking and large print additions, they're not going to be as robust as something like NVDA, which again is not as robust as something like JAWS. So it's a continuum, just like our vision loss, it's a continuum. And you can get a program that makes things both bigger and talks. So it's reading to you, letting you rest your eyes until they say a number or until they say a new word or a new name. And you're kind of like, what did they say? And then you can go back and look at it and get what you need. But even QuickBooks, I mean, is now accessible, but you have to get the appropriate technology to work with it. But just about everything on the computers, if you take and push the Apple and plus sign, you will see that all the print on your computer gets bigger. Not in every single program, so there are some that it still doesn't work with, but that's just a down and dirty, cheap, easy, take the air out of the tires type of answer, right? We just push that button, keep pushing the plus button, it'll keep getting bigger. Push the minus button and it gets smaller. But not everything everywhere is included in that. Making your mouse, your cursor bigger is fantastic. Making your arrow bigger. I have mine set right now so that no matter what the background, it keeps changing. So if the background is white, my cursor is black. And if the background is dark, then my cursor becomes white. People can do that with a red cursor, a green cursor. You can add a tail. You can make your arrow really big and then add a tail. So if you're looking at just one part of your visual field that's good, then you can look for it. On the other hand, like a lot of us know, if you push the control or command button and S, that will save whatever you're working on. Okay.
Sharon?
And those, what's that?
I was just going to try to wrap this up. We have somebody else who has their hand up. I was just going to say, it sounds to me like what you're saying to the other Sharon is rather than focus on the hardware, the technology so much, a visit to a low vision specialist like yourself might help you see what kind of programs you need or
right. Well, you want to start with a low vision optometrist if you can, or low vision ophthalmologist who really specializes in low vision. Optometrists study optics, and that's what they're really, really good at, is making the best of your remaining vision. And then we make it bigger, we make it bolder, we make it brighter. If that's not enough, we go to voice and we go to tactile and make things so that we can feel them by putting dots on the microwave or dots on our phone, or anything else. So yeah, it's not a specific kind of computer.
okay.
How about, how about lighting? That's another question we get a lot, especially in the kitchen underneath the counter. Perhaps you have recommendations.
And again, it depends on the person's condition, eye condition, their kitchen, things like that. There's a program called ILOB. It's a national program, Independent Living for Older Blind, where a teacher will come to your house and actually take a look at the lighting in your house and help you. Sometimes the low vision therapy places will have a therapist or an occupational therapist who will come to your house and help you to set things up, organized, that, decide on the lighting that's good for you. Some people will put in one lamp that sits on the counter and kind of can be either turned towards the stove or turned towards what they're cutting. Again, with contrast, it's going to be easier. And so it's not a specific kind of lighting. Some people like more light. Some people, especially if you have cataracts, are going to want a little bit less light, because that additional light, it opens up your eye, your pupil, and allows you to see more cataract and more glare rather than helping. And we want to reduce glare as much as possible. So some people even wear their sunglasses indoors. They get yellows, oranges, clear grays, and they cut the glare indoors, and they actually see better with less lighting and less glare.
I think what is happening, Sharon and I deal with a lot of people with a lot of different needs. And Sharon, the low vision therapist, you take individuals and you ask them, what do you need to do? And you help them, I guess, you're tailoring whatever they wanted. You're tailoring the techniques and the technology to individual people, whereas we try to help a wide variety of people with a wide variety of needs. So I think part of our advice is see your low vision therapist.
Yeah, if I could get that message out. A friend of mine, a coworker of mine, said today that her ophthalmologist from a very well-known hospital said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing more that we can do for you," and let the person walk out the door with no referral to the senior vision program, no referral to a low vision specialist, no referral even to the shop. Come to the store and see what's available to buy. Nothing. I can't help you anymore. Goodbye. That's it. You know, and that's one of the reasons that motivated me to get involved with these groups, where groups of people who know they have a vision problem and are looking for answers. The answers are out there. We've been doing this for the last 70 years in an organized manner. So
I want to get to Joan's question. Joan?
Oh, I've got it. First of all, I was really interested in Sharon's about using technology, because I'm sure my computer can do lots of things I don't know about. But anyway, my little question, it's one of those where I should see where to take the air out of the tire. But I really like my morning cup of tea. Now, I can see okay at the moment, so I know, when to stop pouring. But if I lose more eyesight without sticking my finger in and then burning it when the tea gets to it, how do I know when there's enough tea in the cup?
Well, there's a couple different ways. There's always a couple different ways when we do it. There's something called a, hang on one second, because I think I have one here, a liquid level indicator, and it indicates the level of liquid. I do, there we go. I brought my little bag of tricks that I take for people's assessments in their homes. The liquid level indicator, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's get some better contrast, which would be a dark color, I think, behind it. Okay. So the liquid level indicator has two little legs. And the legs are not connected to each other, but to a battery. And so when, ooh, can you hear that buzzing? This one, the battery's even good. How about that? So if I put this over my cup, then as the liquid comes up, it makes an electronic connection between these two legs, and it starts to buzz. So I want you to be real careful with the pouring, because actually the pouring is the dangerous part. All right, you have to make sure that your cup handle is exactly opposite the handle of whatever you're pouring with. A lot of people, what they do is they get what's called a hot shot. And a hot shot is, I think it's still made by Sunbeam. It's about $15 or $20, depending on where you get it. Every Staples and Office place has them. You pour 1 cup of water in the top. It boils in a minute. You put your cup underneath, push the button, and it comes out the bottom. So there's no pouring at all. And you can't over pour, because it's only the amount of water that you put in the top. So as long as you make sure if you make sure to empty it when you put the water in the top, put your cup under. If you make sure to hold that down until all the hot water is in your cup, then the next time there's nothing in there, and it's only 1 cup and 1 cup and 1 cup at a time, which is nice for tea. Yeah. It's nice for coffee. It's nice for oatmeal. It's nice for, instant mashed potatoes or instant rice or anything like that, that you need a cup of hot water for, because it comes right into your cup or your bowl or whatever you've measured it into. Now, when it comes to measuring a cup of hot water for something, or a cup of cold water, whatever it is, individual measuring cups are going to be much easier to use than the Pyrex, where you're trying to see that line that's on the side of a glass bowl. And again, you put water into a clear glass container, most of us aren't going to be able to see that. But if you fill a 1 cup measure to the top, then you're going to know exactly how much you have.
Yeah, thanks.
You can see this.
Tiffany, did you want to add something?
I have another question. Are we waiting for Tiffany, or do you want me to go with this one?
Okay, so
okay. Chris, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, I wondered if there's an easy way to learn voiceover, which is a text to, it
Speak.
reads the text on the screen.
Yes, it does. And it will work on your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac. Tiffany, can you
But
get?
I'm having, what's
There you go.
happening is I'm having trouble getting started. Is there a tutorial or a website that
Yes.
helps to
There's a couple of them.
make it easy to understand what to do?
Yep, there's a couple of them. Tiffany, I'm going to let you go first on this, and then we'll talk about Hadley as well.
Okay. You want me to answer this question or?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are a plethora of resources out there. There is a website called Apple Viz.
Hey, Tiff, can you move a little closer to your microphone, please? Because some people are having difficulty hearing you.
Sure. Okay, is that better? There's a website called Apple Viz, and it's applevis.com. That's a website where they have a lot of tutorials, podcasts, guides, things like that to learn voiceover. They also have a lot of support groups and things like that out there that you can join online.
Tiffany, I'm sorry to interrupt. Was that Apple V as in Victor, I, S as in Sam.com?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. And there are a lot of, just network with people on Facebook, or a lot of the support groups have people who have used iPhones. I've learned a lot from other people who have iPhones. They also have, VoiceOver has a built-in gesture where you can turn on the help. And then when you perform a gesture, for example, using one finger to double tap on the screen, it will tell you what that gesture does. So you do you use 4 fingers and you double tap to turn the help on and then toggle it off again. So there's really a plethora of resources out there for assistance in learning the iPhone.
Chris, there's also the Hadley School for the Blind videos. Have you found those? Was that
I
a yes?
did see a couple, yes. Yes.
Okay. It's not an easy task to learn.
It's a lot of moving pieces because you're using it as you are. The easiest thing to start with, what? So, yeah, so one of the easiest ways is just to open up the phone. You can turn on VoiceOver by saying, Siri, turn on VoiceOver. And once you've got the phone keypad opened up, that's a good place to start practicing, because like a mouse that has a double click, the phone assumes that you're blind. If VoiceOver is on, your phone is assuming that you can't see anything. So it will tell you what you're typing or what you're touching. It doesn't open it. A sighted person looks at something and taps it and it opens on the iPhone. When you have VoiceOver on, that always takes precedence. And what it'll do is it'll say the number of, again, if you're on the keypad, whatever your finger is on. If you're on 5, if you're on 6, if you're on 2, it'll say 5, 6, 2, but I wanted 1. So if I've done that, then I have to go back and erase all those mistakes. With VoiceOver on, I don't have to do that. If I keep pushing until I find the 1, it says 1. If I double tap, the way I double click on a computer mouse, if I double tap on the phone with one finger, it will then input 1 no matter where on the screen I type. So I'll hear 5, 4, 6, 3, 1. Okay, I want that 1. So it's the last thing VoiceOver said. Then I double tap, 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 and you'll hear one in a slightly different voice. One. And now you know that it's actually typed one, like if you're doing 1-800. Okay. Then you would have to find the 8. So you go down from the 1 and it says 4, and then it says 7, and then it says 8. It's not putting in those wrong numbers. I double tap, and now I've got the 8. Then I go below the 8, and I know that that's the 0 down there. Siri will say, or VoiceOver will say 0, and then I double tap, and then I have to double tap, find it again, and double tap again. So that'll give me 0, 0, 1-800. And that's just a good place to practice because you're not really calling anything, you're not really doing anything, but you're practicing the double tap. And on the phone, you use a single finger, double finger, or triple finger, single tap, double tap, and triple tap. And it's really kind of the usage and the memorization of those different patterns, as well as the swipes from right to left and up to down and down to up, that make VoiceOver challenging because there's just so much that you can do without looking at the screen at all.
Tiffany and Sharon, is there anywhere you can go to get help with it? Because to me, having somebody sitting beside you and instructing you would be very beneficial.
So if you're 55 or older, you are probably, and living in the United States, you're probably eligible for your independent living for the older blind program. It's a national program sponsored by every state, paid for by your taxes again. They will ask you about your income, and the reason that they ask you is about your copay for equipment. You don't pay for your teachers. So sometimes the contracts go to nonprofits in your area. Oftentimes the state themselves will send the state teachers out, and you don't have to pay for that time. Here in Maryland, we have some wonderful volunteers like Tiffany that won't come to your house and sit with you, but will do over your house phone or over your computer, can do volunteer teaching. Our Library for the Blind here in Maryland has a program where if you call the Library for the Blind, you can get 1 hour a week of tutoring from one of their instructors or one of their volunteers.
And that's individual living for the older blind?
Yes.
ILFOB?
ILOB or ILB.
Okay.
Every state has
Okay.
kind of a change on it, but basically you say, I'm over 55.
Yeah.
And I don't see good, and you're talking to your State Department of Rehabilitation Services.
Okay.
And you've got a really good resource there, Linda, that lists a lot of the state rehabs, and visionair.com has a directory of state-by-state services that has your libraries, your state services, your nonprofits.
Okay. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up. It's about 3:45. Now we start to lose people at the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
So
Whatever questions people have, and they can always let us know between you and me, or even writing them on the, post them tonight, and we can get back to people with additional questions. So whenever people have to leave, that's fine.
Who else has questions?
I'm waiting to hear some mobility questions. How do I get around?
Well, I know one of the big problems that people have is having lost depth perception. How to navigate stairs, and I'm thinking white cane for that, but
I think you're thinking right. I think you're thinking right. The advantage of the white cane is it's like putting your hand down on the floor in front of you, but you don't have to walk around like a monkey to do it, right? The cane lets you stand up, shoulders back, head up, and still be able to feel what's on the ground in front of you, feel where the stairs are, feel the depth of the stairs, the width of the stairs, the length of the stairs, and know where they are. And also if there's a ramp off to the side, we can do that too.
a cane with the hook on the top, what'd you call it? The one that's both a support cane and a white cane? What'd you call it?
So if you're talking about a support cane,
That's it. Okay.
see myself anymore. I lost myself here. There I am. Okay, there we go. So this way I can make sure you can see what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
A support cane has a rubber tip at the bottom. It's often red reflective tape. The rest of the cane is white reflective tape. That means when you're traveling in darker areas like theaters, do we still do those things? Restaurants, or if you're going out in the evenings, headlights or overhead lights will reflect off of this and make you more noticeable. And then the top, it can be either a flat crook. Let me see if I can get something white behind that for you.
what I don't understand is how does it both support you if you need the physical support, and how does it work as a cane as well?
So it's an identifier, but it is not going to be a long cane. You're not going to use a support cane in place of a long cane.
Okay,
So some people, when they're just start off in the journey, can just lose their balance kind of going off a curb or something like that. A support cane might be enough. But I have a lot of people that have diabetes and other diseases that are affecting their balance, and they need a support cane, and it's affecting their vision. And so they're also using a long cane. And it sounds more complicated than it is, because I have a lot of people that need to do it. And when you do need it, your body kind of gravitates towards using them correctly. And if necessary, if like people have had a stroke, for example, I might work together in a team with an occupational and or a physical therapist to make sure the person is gripping it, they have the best grip, they have the best cane, the best height for them, and then I'll teach them how to use the long cane along with that once they're walking around safely on some, in the therapy room safely. Flat, then we can start with the stairs that are in the therapy room, and then we can start with stairs that are outside and steps and curbs and wherever people want to go. I love it when people tell me, oh, Sharon, I'm leaving town. Good, have a good time. That's what it's all about. Go live your life. I'll meet with you next week.
Miss Sharon?
Yeah, Tiff.
Yeah, I had some things I was gonna show if that's okay, or do we have more questions?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry, excuse me, we can't hear her. Tiff, can't hear you.
Am I muted?
No, you're not muted, Tiffany. You're just far away from wherever your mic is.
Okay, is that better? Is that better? Can you hear me better now?
I can, but Marilyn, you're still shaking your head. No, I don't hear you, Marilyn.
Yeah.
Oh,
You say something else, Tiffany?
Okay, can you hear me now? Is that better?
No.
it was a minute ago. Did you sit back by any chance?
No, let's see.
No?
Okay, is that any better? I don't know why I'm having an issue with my microphone.
Well, let's go with that.
Let's go, and I'll repeat anything that sounds really soft.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you show us the stuff, Tiffany?
Okay, as far as in the kitchen and labeling things, you can use bump dots. Can you see those?
They're up above your head. Can you bring them down? Because we're looking at your face. Up a little bit. There you go. Perfect.
I'm new at demonstrating things on the
So
camera.
these are the
That's
clear
okay.
bumpers.
Yes, they have different colors. I always use clear because that way anyone else can see through them. On a microwave, on a washing machine or dryer, anything where you need something identified, on an air fryer. So they're very useful. Ms. Sharon was talking about making a cake. So they have Braille and print measuring cups where the number is in Braille and in print. Okay, so that's one measuring cup. And you can it has a little bottom to it to where you can sit it down and it won't spill. And this set of measuring cups actually has measuring cups that you wouldn't ordinarily find such in a regular set, such as 2/3.
That's nice.
Yes, it has, it also has a 2-cup measuring cup.
So
So
Marilyn, are you hearing her? So the set that has the Braille on it has a 2/3 cup measuring and a 2-cup measure as well.
it has a whole range of cups, actually. I just named those as examples. And the spoons are the same way. They have a 3/4 spoon, measuring spoon, and then you have your 2 tablespoons. You were talking about pouring oil when making cake. And so you can just use this 2 tablespoon measuring spoon to pour oil into. And sometimes people will put the oil in the refrigerator so that the oil is cold. When you're pouring out of the oil bottle, then you can feel it better. So that was just a tip that I had for that.
Just 1 second. For those of you who came in late, the reason we're not always seeing things that Tiffany is holding up is because she has very little vision. Okay, so you may not have realized that. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Okay. I also, we talk about television and entertainment. I am from the old school, as you call it. I still use DVDs. But there's a nifty little device here called a pen friend. Okay. And the pen friend, you can touch the tip of the pen to specialized stickers, and then you record whatever you want that sticker to say. And then when you touch the pen to that sticker, it will read it to you. So I'm going to turn it on, and just to demonstrate what this is, it's a DVD, and I have already recorded what the DVD is, and I'm going to touch the tip of the pen to the sticker. And it said, "Do you believe?" You might not be able to hear it that well, but it told me the name of the movie. And you can use pen friend stickers for foods, for pretty much anything. Lotions or shampoo or conditioner. And by the way, just for those who want to know, I learned that you can tell shampoo from conditioner because when you shake the bottle, the shampoo is looser, and so you can hear it more. That's just a tip that I've learned. And I also have I have a lot of different options for labeling things. I have a can here of pumpkin, but there is a magnet can on top.
Tiffany,
Yes.
maybe it would help. Could you hold it up to your forehead?
Mhm.
That might help us.
Is that better?
Let me see. I lost you now. Is that better, everybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great tip. Thank you.
Mhm,
If you need me to show anything else, I can show it again.
thank you.
Sure. And there's a magnet on the top of this can. So I'm going to use my iPhone. And there's an app on it called Way Around. Let me, hold on a second. Okay. So this is what the app looks like. And it's pretty simple. There's a read button on it. And I'm gonna double tap it, and then I'm gonna take the edge of my phone and touch it to the top of this can. And it vibrates. And then whatever I write on this label will pop up. And it actually, okay, it didn't scan it. Hold on 1 second. Try this again. Okay, it says pumpkin. So that app you can actually customize, and I wrote in the word pumpkin, and so then when I scan that magnet on the top of the can, it will tell me what it is. You can erase what you've put and re-record. That app also has these kind of labels that you use with a rubber band, and you can put them on frozen items. So for example, if you have some chicken or you have some vegetables and you want to identify them, you can put that, it's called a weigh tag, on the frozen item and put it in the freezer. And then you touch the top of your phone to that label, and it uses what's called an NFC scanner. N for Nancy, F for Frank, C for cat. And it will scan those labels, and whatever you write in those labels will pop up. So I use a variety of different tools. And speaking of tools, I have a toolkit, because I'm a homeowner. I never know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to take one tool out of here. I have an adjustable wrench. Okay. And I actually put a Braille label on it. Now, all of my tools are not labeled. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes, thank you.
So I actually had to change my shower head because I had a water saver shower head, and I did not like it. So I changed it back to the regular shower head. And so I could use this, and I could open it up and grip the shower head and turn it.
Tiffany, there are sighted people who could not do that, and I'm one of them.
Okay.
So bravo.
Thank you. Thank you. I just learned how to be innovative and creative and think of different ideas of how to do things. I use my iPhone a lot, and I use Be My Eyes, which is an app where you can call a sighted volunteer and ask them questions about all different things. You don't want to show them anything personal, but expiration dates on foods, to identify clothing, of colors of clothing. And speaking of clothing, there's another app and called Digit Eyes. I know I'm throwing out a lot of app names, but I have labels that I've sewn in the back of my clothes, some of them, and I can scan that label and it will tell me whatever I recorded on it. So if I have a red shirt or white pants or whatever the case is, it will tell me. So I use a lot of labeling systems. I use on my computer. We talk about technology because I use my phone for a lot of technology, but I also use my computer. I use the screen reader, JAWS for Windows, and also for low vision, they have Fusion, which is a combination of JAWS and Zoom Text, which Zoom Text is an enlargement program. So there's a plethora of options out there. There's no wrong answer. Everything something that one person does might not work for someone else. So it's all about flexibility, trying new strategies and new methods, and finding what works for you. There's no one size fits all. I mean, it's just like if you go to a store and you buy a pair of shoes. You know, this person might wear this size and that might fit their feet, but another person might want, you know, a little bit more space, so they might buy a bigger size. So there's no one size fits all. And that's true in dealing with vision and limited vision or anything. Everyone is different. When we talk about TVs, there's no right or wrong answer for TVs. So I hope that if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
That's great. Thank you, Tiffany.
Sure.
Joan has a question. Joan, go ahead. Well, here, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Okay, there we are. No, I was just wondering, those magnetic labels sound very interesting. Are they very expensive to buy?
Well, the way around, to go to wayaround.com, it's way, W-A-Y, and around, A-R-O-U-N-D. They have a store, and you can choose which pack and which kind of labels work best for you, but you can get a pack of 25 for $25. So they are pricey. I do mention though that Digit Eyes, which is another barcode scanning, well, the way around doesn't use barcodes. They use NFC communication, which stands for near field communication. And so it's more expensive, but Digit Eyes uses barcodes. And the problem with barcodes is sometimes they're too small to see. Digit Eyes has a learning curve, but you can buy a pack of Avery labels for $5 and print your own barcodes on them and then place them on whatever you want to identify. So like I said, there's no one size fits all. And the good thing I like about Way Around though is you can reuse the labels and it gives you a tactile marker so you don't have to find a barcode.
Great
That
suggestion.
sounds really good. Thanks.
So this is again where the technique meets the technology. If you work with a teacher, they can show you how to attach different labels to, like in Tiffany's case, a rubber band that would go around a plastic bag. Then if you keep the labels as you use them and put them, you know, hooked on a hook on your fridge or in a plastic bag near wherever your purse is, then when you go back to the store, you'll know that you're out of frozen peas because you have the tag with you. You'll know that you need to buy, you know, a loaf of bread that you took that off of or whatever. So the teachers can work with you for the techniques that will expand your ability to use any one kind of technology over and over again in different kinds of situations. So one of the other things I'd like to show everybody before we go off is that there is another kind of phone. We were talking a lot about smartphones. Some people use smartphones, some people that stay at home tend to use their, you know, their Alexa, you know, Alexa, call this person, call that person. But there's another kind of phone that my friend Diane has here in the store, and she's going to tell you a little bit about it. And I'm just turning this so I can see us. Where is us? Kind of funny because I'm looking at somebody else. Give me half a second to find us to make sure that you can see Diane's. There she is. There you are. Beautiful.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I work at the low vision shop, and one of our products is called the Blind Shell Classic 2 cell phone. This is a 100% accessible cell phone because it has real buttons on it that you can feel. It does have a screen, but you do not need to see the screen. Somebody who's 100% blind can use this phone. So it's all menu driven. So that means you use let me turn it up.
5, 8, 9, 10, 10.
This is as loud as it goes. So it's menu driven with tactile bars that you can feel.
Call.
So you can make calls with it.
Messages.
You can do
207.
texting.
Contacts.
This is you put in a contacts list.
Applications. 407.
Applications has all kinds of things, such as an alarm, a minute countdown. Well, let's see.
Internet browser.
So it's got
1
an
of 10.
internet browser, so you can go online.
Tools. 2 of
Tools has
10.
all of your stopwatches and clocks and calendars and stuff like that.
Communication. 3 of 10.
Communication, so you can email, you can use WhatsApp.
Media. 4 of 10.
Media, that will have your FM radio, your internet radio. It has YouTube.
Books.
It
5
has
of
a
10.
book reader.
Games. 6
Games.
of 10. Vision aids.
So vision
7 of
aids.
10.
Okay.
Be My eyes.
It has
1
the
of
Be
8.
My Eyes built into it that Tiffany was talking about.
Beepers. 2
It
of 8.
has the ability to connect to a beeper. So if you lose something a lot, whether it's your cane or your keys, you could put a beeper on there and you could use your blind shell to help you find it.
Color indicator.
It's got a
3 of
color ID, so it could tell you what color something is.
8. Google Lookout.
Google
4 of 8.
Lookout is so impressive. It is an app that I had not experienced till I started playing with Blind Shell because I'm an iPhone user, so I didn't even know that Google Lookout existed. But that Google Lookout will turn text into speech. So if you wanted to use it to read your mail, It has a scene detection, so it'll tell you what's around the room. And it also has a currency reader, so it'll tell you which bill you're holding up. You don't want to give somebody a 50 when you wanted to give them a 1. So that's an important one.
Localization.
Localization will tell you where you are. It'll give you the address in case you need to call for a ride.
Magnifying glass.
It does have a
6
magnifying glass.
NFC object tagging.
So it
7
has the built-in pen friend that when you buy the blind shell, it comes with a whole page of pen friend labels.
QR object
And
tagging.
it also can do QRO codes. I don't know why I'm having a problem with that. But so let's back out of that.
Vision aids. Hobby. 8 of 10.
Hobbies. So it has a guitar tuner and it has a let's see.
Guitar tuner. Metronome.
And it has
2
a
of 2.
I can never say that word. I always say metrodome, and it's a
No.
metronome. The thing people use to play the piano. Okay.
Hobby. 8 shopping.
It
9
has
of
shopping.
10.
It has Amazon built right into it.
App catalog.
And
10
then
of
this
10.
is your app catalog. So it's a
Application. Settings. 5 of
that's
7.
settings. You can change the voice. I have it on a male voice. You can choose a female voice. You can speed it up. You can slow it down. It has 100 or so melodies you can choose from when your phone rings. It is, you can talk to it. I could say,
I listen after a beat.
call Diane.
There are more possible actions. Call Diane. 1 of 2.
So then I would hit okay.
Dialing.
And
Diane.
it's calling me on my other phone. So I'll shut that off. But yeah, so I just wanted to show this real quick. On the back is an SOS button that you could press if you're in an emergency. You will program a contact in there, whether it's a family member or 911. The only thing about the blind shell is that it works on the T-Mobile network or any provider that uses a T-Mobile carrier. So it's a very sturdy phone. I love it. I love that it's totally accessible with the push buttons, and you can pretty much do anything with this that you can with your iPhone. So
Thank you. I did post Sam of the Blind Life YouTube channel did a review, but it's been some time since that was posted, so I'll share that again.
okay, but that might be for the original blind shell. This is the updated one.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
new things. Maybe we have to get
Yes.
Sam a new one.
Yes.
So the very last thing I wanted just to review with everybody is something that I say all the time online and support groups and everything else. And that is get yourself a tray. Work with a tray that has edges so that if you are doing anything from putting your glasses away at night to working on a table, if you are baking something, cracking open an egg, it's a lot easier to pick this up and put it in the sink and wash it than it is to clean the eggs up off of the counter, the front of the cabinets, the floor, the shoes, everything when they break. So pills, people tell me they drop pills all the time. What do? Drop it on a tray.
Would it be good to have contrasting color trays? Maybe like a couple, a light one and a dark one, maybe?
So really the tray contains everything within a very small space, and it depends on the person's vision and lighting, right? So at night, when you put things on your nightstand, if you find that in the morning, you're looking all over the floor for your stuff, it doesn't have to be even a tray shape. It can be a plate, it can be a bowl, it can be something
Shoebox.
decorative, it can be a shoebox. Yeah, shoeboxes are good. It can be anything that holds things in place. I worked recently with a gentleman who just lost all of his vision, and his wife, it was very funny watching her expressions the first 2 visits, because the first visit I went and we talked about trays, and I gave him a tray and we organized his TV remote. He's in a wheelchair, so getting around was a challenge. So anything he wanted, his water bottle, his TV remote, some napkins and tissues, and his talking book player were now on a tray. contained. They couldn't fall off of the various tables and footstools and, you know, end tables where he had all of his stuff scattered. It was all one place. And when you put everything in one place, you get used to always putting it back in the same place. Our moms always said that, right? A place for everything and everything in its place. And that's true for everybody, but even more so when you have vision loss. If you don't have vision loss and you throw your hat over here, and your shoes over there, your umbrella over there, and your jacket over there, in the morning you look around, you pick it all up and get out the door in 5 minutes. When you have vision loss and you don't remember where you put the other shoe or you kicked it on, you're in trouble. If you always come in the door and put your keys in the same basket by the door, they'll be there every day in a basket by the door, and you won't have to go looking for them. So it's a matter of developing, again, the techniques and the technology. In this case, a bowl, a basket, a shoebox, whatever it might be, a contained area to keep your things in is your technology. Very low technology, but a technology. And then your technique is to keep things every single time in the same place. Teach your family to put things in the same place. Keep your sharp knives separated in a holder or in a wooden block in the same place, and you'll avoid the cuts and things that way as well. So I hope that answered a bunch of questions today. If you have more, post them and we'll get to them, you know, tonight or over the next few days.
And I will go through I'll have the video posted. I'll post it the link to it right after this session, but then I will go through it tomorrow and I'll make sure you have, like, you know, AppleVis and that Tiffany mentioned and all the references that they've made. Okay, so you'll have it there.
Good, fantastic. So you're welcome, Joan. We were glad to help out. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, all of you, for having us.
Thank you. So
Thank you,
Tiffany,
Linda, for what you do. This is absolutely marvelous. Marvelous. We're getting the word out. And every time you go to the eye doctor, share with the people in the waiting room around you. You know, you have low vision like me. Have you had a low vision assessment? Do you have the adaptive tools? Do you know about the library for the blind? Whatever it is that you most enjoy, share that with other people that don't know yet. Get the word out.
and thank you, Tiffany, too. We very much appreciate all your tips and tricks. And both of you, would you come back another time?
Anytime.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much for
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Stay strong, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
End meeting or leave. Cancel button. Leave.